If you constantly deal with low back pain, one of the best things you can do is do some targeted core strengthening work, not just abs, not like a really hard ab routine, but activating key core muscles. Okay, so I'm gonna lead you through a gentle 10-minute routine that's gonna fire up your core, target your hips, and even finish with some feel-good stretches. Let's get started. Let's begin on your back, down on the floor with a super simple exercise. We're just working on tucking your tailbone under, feeling your low back connect to the floor. That's gonna engage your deep core muscles, the really, really important ones. So we're gonna spend about 30 seconds with each exercise and take about 15 seconds in between exercises to transition to the next one. So let's go ahead and begin. We're gonna tuck your tail under, exhale and release the tuck. Tuck your tail under and release. Tuck your tail under, feel your back connect to the floor. Exhale. And it's really in that exhale where you can start to feel your deep core muscles engaging. One more here. Tuck your tail. Exhale, firm. Go ahead and release. We're gonna just stay in the same position for our next exercise here. Feet are planted flat. You can wiggle your toes to make sure that your toes aren't pushing down to the floor. Let's squeeze your glutes and go ahead and begin by lifting your hips up into a bridge and then slowly release. Do that again. Squeeze the glutes and lift, set it down. Squeeze and lift, set it down. Squeeze and lift. Think about lifting really evenly through both hips. It should not feel like one side is lifting higher or faster than the other side. Really smooth and gentle. Last one here, and set it down. So our next exercise, we're returning to that same pelvic tilting motion, but we're gonna add some leg movement, okay? So let's go ahead and get ready by finding your tilt. Feel your low back connecting into the floor. Let's pick your legs up off the floor. We're gonna lower your left foot down to the floor. Let's go ahead and keep going, alternating as you go, working really hard at making sure that your low core is engaging by pressing your spine down into the floor, maintaining that pelvic tilt. Alternating taps one at a time. That pelvic tilt where you keep your tailbone tucked and you feel your back connected to the floor is really important. Go ahead and release your legs down, release the tilt. Let's turn onto your side now with your heels tucked up behind you, top elbow down, and we're gonna go ahead and lift that top knee and release it down. Lift the top knee, release it down. These are called clamshells here. We're working on this outside of the hip. Very gentle lifts. If you start to get any cramping in the outside of your hip, just take it a little lower. Don't lift quite so high. Making sure that this top elbow stays down on the floor. One more lift and release. Let's turn it around. We're going to do the other side now. So laying all the way down, feet are tucked up behind you, top elbow is on the floor. Heels are stacked, top knee is slightly more forward than the bottom. Go ahead and lift that top knee again and release it down. Remember, this elbow being down is really important. That's going to make sure that you're not tipping backwards as you do these clamshells. When you lift your knee, go ahead and exhale in that moment. You might feel both hips here working pretty hard to stabilize. Keep it small lifts. You don't want to overlift here and create too much of a cramp. Good job. Go ahead and climb up onto your hands and knees for our next exercise. This is called a quadruped position. We're going to have your toes tucked under, shoulders are right above your hands. We're going to pull your belly towards your spine and lift your knees up off the floor just so they're about an inch off the floor. In this position, exhale. Set the knees back down. Do that again. Lift, exhale. Keeping that tabletop position, making sure that you're not breaking out of that. It's kind of like a baby plank. That's what this feels like. Set the knees down. Let's go one more lift. Exhale. Set the knees down. Great job. So our next exercise comes in the same position, or starts in the same position. Shoulders are right over the hands. Hips are right over the knees. We're going to extend the left leg out straight, right arm out straight. Go ahead and hold that position here. In this motion, you might be tempted to lift really high, but you're doing your best to keep your heel pressed back firm, fingertips pressed back forward. This is just a long hold here. Keep your belly pulled up towards your spine. Big deep breaths. About 8 more seconds. And release that side down. Go ahead and shake your hips out, creating some big circles. Next, we have the other side to do. Hands are right under your shoulders. Once again, let's go ahead and go. We're gonna extend that right heel straight back, left fingertips straight forward. Pull your belly up towards your spine. Thumbs are up. Big deep breaths. Keep your weight 50-50 between your right hand and your left knee, making sure that you're not sitting back into that hip too far. So this routine is very different than just a blast your abs kind of routine. This is very intentional. Go ahead and release of just engaging and firing up your deep, really important core muscles that will help your back feel best. Let's finish with some stretches here. Plant your right foot forward, left knee is down. Revisiting that pelvic tilt, go ahead and press this left hip bone forward. Using that back foot to kind of give you some leverage, we're gonna keep it dynamic by pressing into that hip and releasing. Press into that hip and release. Keep this left glute squeezed. A happy back is a back that is not surrounded by really tight hips. So it's very helpful to keep these hips loose. Dynamic stretching is awesome for that. Go ahead and release. You can untuck your toes, sit down into a kneeling position in between sides. We're gonna do that same stretch on the other side. Go ahead and find your way back up onto your knee. Tuck your tail under. You can use your back foot as leverage and press forward. The aim here is to really get that dynamic stretch through your hip flexor, and it shouldn't feel like you're arching at your low back. Pressing that hip straight forward, releasing that tension through your hip flexor. About 8 more seconds. And release. Go ahead and climb down once again. We're gonna revisit a stretch on the first side. This time we're gonna be stretching your hamstrings. So climb back up onto your knee. Extend your right leg out straight with your heel on the ground. Tip your hips out behind you. We're gonna lean forward. If you need to use the wall for stability, you can. This is gonna be a static hold stretch. So rather than easing into it and out of it, we're just gonna find the deepest range of motion. Keeping that right sit bone pushing back, pulling away from your heel cap, sinking deeper and deeper with every breath. And go ahead and ease up. Send that foot back to where it started. Climb down on your knees if you need to, or stand up in between sides, that's fine. Let's make our way to the last side. So extending your left leg out, we're gonna tip your tailbone out and bring your chest forward. It really is important to think about extending your tailbone almost out up to the sky behind you rather than feeling like you're tucked under. And that's what's gonna give you that really good hamstring stretch. Make sure that you're not collapsing through your torso. Keep your chest lifted up and open. And the combination of doing these good hip stretches combined with that gentle core activation work is going to do wonders for a back that is not feeling great. Go ahead and ease up and release. Great job. Thank you so much for joining me for this quick 10-minute core training routine that feels great for your back. Hopefully that felt good, wasn't too much, and gave you hope that you can build core strength over time. Definitely revisit this one. You can do it a couple times through if you want. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments below too. I check every comment. All right, friend, thank you again, and I will see you soon.